Whoops, there goes gravity. Harrison Butker is out. What does that mean for Chiefs versus Bills right now on Locked On Chiefs Live?
From the land of the free and the home of the Chiefs, this is the Locked On Chiefs podcast.
Welcome back, everybody. We are live for special breaking news on the Harrison Butker situation. He has gone to IR. We're going to break it all down for you, as well as everything else we normally do on a Friday preview. Welcome into a special live edition. We're brought to you by FanDuel. You can start this season with a giant return right now. Customers bet $5 and you can get $150 back in bonus bets. If you win that $5 bet, it's all at FanDuel.com. Go over there and get started. We are going to get started. He's Chris Clark that way. I'm Ryan Tracy. You can find Chris at KC Chiefs Corner. You can find me at NFL 33 and RGR Football and Rogue Analytics. Appreciate you guys being here. If you don't know us yet and you're hitting this on breaking news, we've been doing this show for 8 years together. We've been covering this team 13, and I've been on like 14 years, plus all kinds of draft work and everything else. You can always find the real goods here on Locked On Chiefs about this Super Bowl winning team. If you want all the action, make sure you like, sub, hit the bell, get on the audio platforms, check us out everywhere that we are available and free across the globe, and check out 816-350-780-781 to get that much more on the text line, because you everydayers make the world go round. We love you, and that's where they hang out. So with no further ado, we're going to give you the X factors and the predictions that you got to know so you can watch the game informed. Before that, we'll tell you the must-win matchups to try and get a regular season, a little bit rare, against the Buffalo Bills. That's coming up next. But breaking news this afternoon, about an hour ago, Harrison Butker goes to IR. It is a meniscus issue. I haven't seen whether it's a total tear or a partial, but this is something that requires a surgical intervention, and he is going to be out at least 3 weeks. I think they will. Did they already designate him IR? Because it could be a little bit longer.
Well, yeah, he's on IR, so he's out at least 4 weeks. You have four. He's out at least 4 games, so he will not be back until after the Chargers game. So at this point, it's a question whether or not he'll even be kicking until late December. If I'm Kansas City, I'm probably leaving him on IR and bringing him back to practice and letting him, take a couple of weeks of just kicking, and you roll the dice with the guy you got. So right now, that guy is Spencer Schrader. They signed him off the Jets practice squad. Harrison Butker is on IR, so they still only have 52 players on the active roster. I would imagine that stays the same for this game. I don't think that's going to change. I think that they'll stick at 52, and they'll make a move next week with Pacheco and Amenihu if one of them comes back for that Panthers game. But for right now, they're without Harrison Butker. They're without probably the best kicker that's in the NFL this season. He has been fantastic for Kansas City. He's been fantastic for him for years. The reality, though, is that, yes, you're going to miss him in this game, and it sucks, especially in Buffalo where he's had success kicking in swirling winds and bad conditions. I don't think that's going to be a huge issue this week, but it could play a little bit of an issue with a kicker that has a career field goal percentage in college of less than 70%. Definitely not what you want.
No,
and I have to wonder,
not what I want. No.
Yeah, no. And I have to wonder, does this change how their offense plays when they get into field goal range? Does this change who does kickoffs? Because maybe they decide, okay, well, we're going to have Justin Reed do a couple of kickoffs, which actually could end up changing also who is playing safety, because maybe you're going to give Justin Reed a couple more snaps off and you're going to see Jaden Hicks a little bit more because of kickoffs. We'll have to see how that goes.
It's funny how the discussion about a kicker affects the defense on this team. The offense is the one that, for me, this is the spotlight turning. I have this as a tight game. You guys are going to get our predictions at the end of the show. Don't worry about that. If you want Matt Derrick's, go back 2 days onto Wednesday's show where he laid it out what he thought. This definitely changes things for me. It's still a very, very tight game, but it's not going to be as high scoring, I don't think, because I do feel that this game flow really lent itself to a couple of field goals, getting the point totals up, maybe making the difference in the ball game. Now that all goes out the window. Now it's Patrick, Kareem, offensive line, you all got to perform. There is no heyday, because a guy who made 70% of his kicks in college, I'm not putting out there at 54 yards with the game on the line. I don't care how mentally tough he is or you know him or whatever. I'm not doing it. I'm putting the ball in Mahomes' hands, and I'm not letting go of it. They got to pull through on offense.
They absolutely have to. And I mean, that's a huge key going in this game. How is that going to play out? You look at just, they were a 2-point dog in this game. In line may have shifted since I last saw that, but they were about a 2-point underdog in this game. And it's funny because Patrick Mahomes is 11-3 straight up against the points in his career. So anytime he's been an underdog, they're still winning 75 to 80% of their games. That is ridiculous. But you lose Harrison Butker. Is it going to change what you do on extra points too? I mean, it could. I mean, especially if the guy misses an extra point, are you going to give him a second chance and come back and try to have him go for, kick another one? Or are you going to go for two? Is that going to change how this game goes and how they play this game? There's just so much this could affect. Obviously, you don't want to have this type of situation happen right before the Bills game. If you look past this game for just a half second, it's Panthers, Raiders, Chargers. You feel okay about the next 3 games probably being able to get through without Harrison Butker. Maybe he comes back right after that, or maybe he doesn't come back until late December. I'm okay with that. Get him healthy, get him ready for the playoffs, get him ready for what is going to matter the most. And the one thing that keeps getting pointed out is he had been going down to one knee when he was kicking field goals. I do think that really kind of lends itself to he's had this injury for a while and he's been playing through it.
I agree with you, and I've seen a lot of commentary, speculation out there, and mine is only speculation too, that it's this change of technique, quote unquote, him going to the ground after it, that has caused this injury. I think that's his adaptation to the injury that is now just not sustainable anymore. When you lock out your leg, the meniscus has a lot of pressure on it. It's painful. It's difficult to maintain your stability. So I understand why they've done that, but at this point, better to repair him, get him back for January, without too much hubbubaloo, knock on wood, even if it stretches out a couple of extra weeks so that you're ready to go for the playoff run.
Yeah, and did his injury play a part in his mishit against, the Broncos? We talk about him mishitting the ball so bad. Well, maybe if he, lost his plant foot just a little bit, lost a little bit of stability in his plant foot, it throws your kickoff a little bit and costs them an extra 10 yards. So both of them have, Tobe came out, Butker came out. They both said the same thing. He mishit that ball. Have to wonder if that has something to do with the injury, but it is a big injury going into a game that, like we said in the crossover, the Chiefs don't have to win, but if they do, they set themselves up to go into like 90% that they're going to be the number 1 seed in the NFL. That is how important this game could be for the Chiefs, but it's so much bigger for the Bills. They have the most pressure on them.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Pressure is what it's about. How does that come into play? What are the must-win matchups? That's coming up next.
With big wireless providers, what you see is never what you get. Somewhere between the store and your first month's bill, the price you thought you were paying magically skyrockets. With Mint Mobile, you'll never have to worry about gotchas ever again. When Mint Mobile says $15 a month when you purchase a 3-month plan, they mean it. Say bye-bye to your overpriced wireless plans, jaw-dropping monthly bills, and unexpected overages. Mint Mobile is here to rescue you with the premium wireless plan starting at $15 a month. All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. To get this new customer offer and your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/lockedonnfl. That's mintmobile.com/lockedonnfl. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/lockedonnfl. $45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speeds slower than 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details.
Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Because right now, new customers, you can bet just $5 and you get 150 back in bonus bets if you win right now. FanDuel Sportsbook, the app, gives you everything that you need to get bets in place for the NFL all in one place. So when you got a hunch in the middle of the game, you want to check out the latest stats, you live by that play-by-play, you can do that and much more on the same page right where you place your bets. Visit FanDuel.com today and join. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's at FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, America's #1 and official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Now, there's plenty of places that we can go to focus on matchups. Some of them are now more important because of the injury. But I'm going to take the top one. And this is because we've seen players like AJ Epinesa, like Greg Rousseau, like Ed Oliver. The defensive line has made plays against this Chiefs team. Watch the screens. Be careful of where you're placing the ball. It's not just about being able to run on this team, which everyone that I've talked to that covers the Bills is oddly confident in their ability to stop the run against the Chiefs this season. They don't believe that the Chiefs are this efficient and able to run between the tackles. So for me, that offensive line has to go out and prove the point. They have to be the foundational blocks, whether you have to go to a sixth lineman, tight ends, chipping, running backs, whatever in the pass game. You have to be able to move in the run game. It's the O-line where this starts and ends, in my opinion.
And I'll take it a step further. You talk about the offensive line, you talk about running the ball. I don't disagree with that, but I would say if you think you're going to take a deep shot, I'm not going to care if you throw out a 6 offensive lineman and have him play basically, a secondary left tackle type situation, and you have 2 guys going off against the defensive end. If you want to take a deep shot, I don't care. If you think that's going to get you the time you need to throw a ball to Xavier Worthy and try to get a play over the top, you do it, because you cannot continue to put your left tackle in a position where the tight end is basically whiffing on his block, or he's pushing him so far back the tackle can't drop fast enough. That's a problem, especially going up against who you're going up against Buffalo with Von Miller in Epinesa in their speed rush. That is going to be a problem. You cannot do that in this game. To me, that is where the biggest matchup is, and that's something that Kansas City has to figure out. They have to slow down the pass rush, and they have to keep Patrick clean. You cannot have another situation where you have a guy like Nick Benito. Obviously, Benito's not going to be on this field this week, but you can't have another Benito type hit where he comes around unblocked and gets to Patrick in less than 2 seconds and just cracks him in the back. That can't happen this week.
You are absolutely right. And for those of you that are surprised, welcome in. It's a special live edition of Locked On Chiefs. This is the Friday show. I know it's Thursday night. Thank you, Justin Meade. But we are going live because of the Harrison Butker incident and giving you our game preview just a little bit early. So thank you guys for joining us. I think the next big matchup that really stands out to me is a team that actually has some things in common about when they drafted their defensive backfield. As you said, Justin Reed could get pressed into service. How much does this affect the 3 safety looks? How much does it affect the rotation? Without Keon Coleman, I'm much more comfortable not having Jalen Watson out there because I don't think it's such a physical matchup. On the reverse, I feel like this is where they really have to attack and get after the safeties, the inside guys. Slot corner, Teron Johnson's been playing very well, but I do feel that's where you have to attack, at least initially, with guys like Juju and D-Hop and Kels, so you can get a chance to make those shots.
Well, and you bring up Juju. Juju was a full participant for the first time in weeks. He was limited on Wednesday, full participant on Thursday. So that's going to be something key to watch for Friday's practice tomorrow. Is he a full participant again? Is he ready to go for this game? If he is, I think that's a great situation for Kansas City. And to answer the question, yes, I think Kincaid and Coleman are both out this game, as well as Matt Milano. But they haven't said Kincaid is out specifically yet, but he hasn't practiced all week. Guessing he's probably out based on the injury that he had. So, and they're on a bye next week, so I also think that plays into it. For Kansas City, when you start looking at matchups that you absolutely have to hit, this is one of those scenarios where you have to get DeAndre Hopkins involved early in this game plan. Because if you get D-Hop involved early, you get him going early in this game, it's going to open things up for Juju Smith-Schuster. It's going to open up things for Travis Kelce. Getting D-Hop and getting him against some of the corners and getting him going against this pass defense is a huge key for this Chiefs team. They need to be able to move the ball. They need to be able to run it. And you talked about that earlier, and I 100% agree with you. And I think that Kareem Hunt will have a game in this one. And to be clear, it has already been stated that it is not likely Pacheco or Amina are activated and play for this game. So I want to make sure that's clear as well. We're not expecting either of those guys to play. But you get the passing game going, I think that you're going to be set up. You can continue to run the ball. But the biggest thing Kansas City has done this season is they're the number 1 team in the NFL with 10-plus play drives. You do that to Buffalo on a regular basis, you're going to wear their defense out, and you're going to be able to score a lot of points. And it could end up mattering a lot more considering Butker is not going to be there, you're probably going to be having your play calling a little bit differently, knowing, okay, this is 2nd and 7. Maybe we need to try to get 5 or 6 yards so we get a 3rd and short, as opposed to maybe we're only going for 2 or 3 yards and we're going to do a 3rd and 5 because we can kick a field goal. That can play into game plan and how you're going to attack this Buffalo defense.
I agree. Now, when it comes to attacking the Buffalo Bills, there's a couple of things here, and I'm just going to put them together here for our matchups piece. Rasul Douglas gave up 6 for 6 for like 87 yards last week. The right cornerback for the Buffalo Bills defense, throwing to Patrick's left. I do feel that that's a matchup you want to try to get at. Whether it's with D-Hop, same side that he had that nice little stop-start where I think he can take advantage of some things. That's one way. But you mentioned it. It is Knox that I think, even without Kincaid, and everyone we've talked to says he's not going to play. We'll get the official designation when we do. Knox has hurt this team before. He is a sneaky player. Josh does look for him, and it's up to the linebackers. And because of Justin Reed maybe having other duties, I do feel it's going to be up to Jaden Hicks to play a little bit more. So that means he's got 2 things he's got to guard against: Dawson Knox and Josh Allen. If there's anybody that can spy Allen and try to keep up with him, I feel that it's going to be Hicks versus the linebackers in this particular game. I think they're going to come out and attack the linebackers. They got to be ready with an answer.
I'm going to be really curious to see what they do with Jaden Hicks in this game and who they use as a spy for Josh Allen. Because really, if you look at their linebacker unit, I don't think you don't have a Willie Gay. And Chanel is great. I like Tranquil. I like Bolton, but none of them have the speed Willie Gay does. I wonder if they go and bring a guy like Jaden Hicks down and have him play more like a linebacker type role and play that spy. Keep him off the line of scrimmage, because the Bills can abuse that if you put him on the line of scrimmage and block him. But if you keep him off the line of scrimmage and use him as a spy that way, I think that could really help. And I do think that may be the way they decide to go, because you don't have the speed to be able to bring down Josh Allen with on the linebackers that you have on this roster right now. So I do think that's a problem. And I agree with you to an extent. Knox is an issue, but he's a much bigger issue if you have a Dalton Kincaid. Without Dalton Kincaid, he becomes tight end 1, and I don't think it's near as big of an issue as it would have been otherwise, because the Chiefs have struggled against tight ends, but they've gotten better over the recent weeks. I do think that's also going to play into it. But the reality is, and the reality is to me, if you were able to go in and keep the Bills in a situation where they're in 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6 or more on a regular basis, you're going to have a good chance at winning this game, because the reality is you have to be able to slow down their running game. I said this on the crossover. If you can get it to where it's 5 or 6 or more on 3rd down, Josh Allen isn't going to run as much. Not saying he can't, but it's not as easy as going for 2 or 3 yards to get a first down. I do think it matters if you can keep him in 3rd and long, but you have to contain him and you have to keep him in the pocket.
I completely agree. He is going to be the number one thing, but there are X factors that can change this game. What are they, and what do we see happening coming up next in predictions right after this? Our sponsor, Hillsdale College, is offering more than 40 free, and that's right, free online courses right now, including Introduction to Free Market Economics. You can check out some history with the rise and fall of the Roman Empire, and even check out The Great American Story, A Land of Hope. All of Hillsdale's courses are self-paced, so you can start whenever you want, you can tune in whenever you want, and you can finish whenever you want. You can go deeper with readings and quizzes and discussions, or just sit back and enjoy the lectures. Go over to hillsdale.edu/lockedon to enroll. There's no cost. It's easy to get started. It's at hillsdale.edu/lockedon to register. hillsdale.edu/lockedon.
It was just announced on X by Justin Reed. He is not going to be kicking. So we've kind of talked about it, but looks like that might not be an issue. So just want to throw it out there. Just saw it as we're recording this live.
Okay, awesome. Bring the hammer. Let's go. I still want Jaden Hicks and Justin Reed attacking downhill to try and track Josh Allen, because he is the ultimate X factor. But there are other guys out there. For me, the number one is who's rushing the left tackle. And honestly, the X factor is the left tackle. It can be an X factor negative, or it could be a positive. Yeah, Von Miller's a little bit older. AJ Epinesa with a super long reach. I do think one of the Chiefs tackles has an advantage there. He probably won't start. But you also have Greg Rousseau, and they can rotate a number of linebackers that they like to allow at least a little bit of pass rush from. So this game hinges as much on the offensive line as will that left tackle who's on the field, no matter who it is, raise his game to be able to address the Buffalo Bills?
It's a great question. And if they don't, that's a big problem for this Chiefs team. They're going to struggle throwing the ball downfield. They're going to struggle getting opportunities for Xavier Worthy, which is something that they need to continue to work on. And I honestly think that they need to be trying to take 2 or 3 shots a game. Even if you never connect, it's continuing to work on that, continuing to try to get that connection down, because the second you do, it becomes a huge deal for this offense, and it changes the perplexion or the ability of this offense to continue to succeed. To me, you look at the X factors, I'm looking at this and it's a little bit different than any Buffalo Chiefs game, or any Bills Chiefs game I've seen in the past several years. The Bills are 3-1 in the regular season. The Chiefs are 3-0 in the regular or in the playoffs. So Kansas City is generally lost to the Bills in the regular season. But the one thing that's different in this game than it's been in any time they've really played, Kansas City has a better rushing attack than they've ever had. And their time of possession that they continue to use on a weekly basis every single game is wearing defenses out, especially late in the game. The one thing I will say, and the thing that people say they played bad against the Bills and they did, or sorry, against the Broncos than they did. The Broncos have a better defense than the Bills, and it's not even close. This should be a game Kansas City's offense should be able to score points. I'm not going to say it's going to be a blowout or they're going to score a ton of points, but I do think that they're going to be able to take advantage of what they do in the running game, and maybe even using a guy like Kareem Hunt in the passing game to take advantage of what he does in that regard. The Bills are not great against defending running backs against the pass.
I will say the 2 other X factors that I have are Joshua Uche, to see that if he can disrupt, because the Bills have not played a Chiefs where they have a speed rusher out on the field. Yep. This is going to change some of the math here and the angles at which you attack Joshua Allen. You got to be smart about Josh. So as we talked with Joe Marino yesterday, having a controlled, gap dependent, and consistent pass rush is part of the key, but you got to attack that tackle's left outside shoulder. And that's really going to be the key for me on defense for him. The other is, it's been a rough road for Xavier Worthy. Can he put it together? Can he actually connect, make sure that he's available for these passes from Patrick Mahomes? And will Mahomes hit him? I'm putting the X factor on Xavier getting himself a little bit looser and able to run under them and make his adjustments like we know he can.
The bigger thing, and when you talk about Xavier, the big thing to me that we really haven't seen is consistently he has been like the third option at worst. Sometimes he's had to be the second option on this offense before D-Hop got here and before, with Juju out. Mm-hmm. That is not where I think he really sits. I don't think he's ready for that role. I don't think that him going up against the guy that's, your number 2 corner or your number 3 corner is going to be great for him. I think that when you look at how they can use him in this game, I think they're going to use him in the ground game as well as in the pass game, because now they have the ability to put a guy like Juju and a guy like D-Hop out there with Kelsey and Xavier, and you have all 4 of those guys who can do different things. But Xavier Worthy is going to get some one-on-ones because of the other guys that they have out there. D-Hop is going to take some double teams. Kelsey is going to get some double teams. I'm not expecting they'll double Juju. They may in certain situations with like certain looks, but it's not going to be a regular basis. But Xavier Worthy could get some one-on-ones and could become a huge X factor. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a deep ball. It could be a crosser that he catches the ball and takes it to house because he has the speed to break it. I mean, there's lots of different things. He's in a situation where he can actually be the 3rd or 4th or 5th target in some of these situations. And I think that's a great thing for him as he continues to try to get better in his rookie season.
Yeah, it's all pluses at this point. As far as the actual game flow, I do think it's going to be a tight game. I will not put it as high as I had it previously without Butker. I do think this comes down to a 1-point game. It's going to be a slog. It's going to be a fight. Nothing comes easy against this team, and I do think it's going to continue to be that way, even as Patrick has more options, and Juju has been able to really help. For Juju being injured and coming off like what was a really good game for him, along with Diep and everything else, you'd think that, hey, maybe you got some fire there. For me, in the end, I think the Chiefs defense has to rally yet again. They have to make sure that they control Josh Allen. If Josh Allen starts giving them turnovers, it's over. Same thing with Mahomes. It's
absolutely
up to the quarterbacks to be succinct. And so in the end, I do think that there are field goals kicked in this game. I do think they are by the Buffalo Bills. Chiefs win 21-20.
Yeah, and I can see that. I do think that Kansas City's defense is going to play a huge factor in this game, and I do think that when you look at how this game is going to play, it's going to be very curious to see how each team starts. Kansas City's defense has started hot at times, but generally speaking, they've given up scores in their first couple of drives. That's what happens generally for this defense. Can they start hot? Can they get a 3-and-out and give the Chiefs a chance to get the lead early? And how aggressive is Andy Reid in this game is really going to tell the tale of the tape for me. If he is aggressive and he is, calling some plays that are a little bit, outside of what he would normally do because he knows who he's going up against and he knows what he has to do and he knows he has a kicker that isn't Harrison Butker, how is that going to change things? You're putting more on Patrick's shoulders, but of all the people in the NFL, there's nobody else I'd rather have that is going to get more put on their shoulders. So I would be happy with that. To me, I think that Mahomes has a chance to make a really big statement in this game if they find a way to win and they move to 10-0. I do think that they have a chance to win this game, and I do think that they will. I'm struggling with the score because I do think they're going to try a field goal. I'm going to go 24-21 Kansas City at the end. It's going to be tough. I think that this game is really close, but if Josh Allen turns the ball over, it's going to really hamper what the Bills are able to do. This Chiefs defense is much better than just about anything they've played. The Bills have played so far, other than maybe the Ravens. And if you look back at who the Bills have played, they haven't gotten wins against the teams that actually are winning right now. That also could play into this. They have wins, but it's against subpar competition in most aspects. So I do think that also plays into this. I think the Bills could struggle, and this defense is going to get after him. And I do trust Steve Spagnuolo to get after Josh Allen. So I think that the Chiefs win this one. I'm going to go 24-20.
I like it.
Or 24-21.
Folks, let us know what you think. Put your prediction, 24-21. Put your predictions down in the comments below on YouTube. Make sure you like, sub, and hit that bell because we are always starting, not just on our live shows like it was today, starting on YouTube, going out to all the audio platforms. You can subscribe to audio and YouTube, so you always have it available. We appreciate that. Make sure you get our game reviews live on Sunday nights. You get the further breakdown and details on Monday. You get more and more detail as we go along. Matt on Wednesday, crossovers on Thursdays, and our game previews. Make sure you're here for all of them. We appreciate you. This is going to be a fun ball game against the Buffalo Bills. Thanks for listening today, and we'll talk to you post-game live.